Hello, thank you so much for joining me tonight. So I'm Kira. I'm the founder of Break Free from the 9 to 5. I'm a digital nomad, project manager, and I've spent the last 10 months traveling around Europe in my camper van. This is a picture of me up a mountain in Serbia. It's great. I get to spend all my time with my husband and my puppy, and just really love the way that my life is. Break Free from the 9 to 5 is my way to help people do the same. So I want to help people start living the life they dream about right now. So that could be by becoming a freelancer, setting up their own business, generally just having a better work-life balance. And the way I do that through Break Free from 9 to 5 is there's life coaching and business mentoring. So today's webinar is presented by Break Free from 9 to 5. And this comes from the February Feels Challenge. So on Instagram, I've been doing a February challenge. So each day of the month, there's been a prompt, which is kind of just helping people get in touch with their emotions. So what kind of things they love to do, what kind of things they'd like to spend more time on. And today is day 6, and the prompt is, what are you scared of? So fear. So with this, today's webinar, I'm going to identify and face our fears. My fear is actually doing something like this, a webinar, so it comes in handy for me as well. So fear, what even is it? So fear is response to a perceived danger or threat. So it triggers the flight or fight mode, which got the physical response. So that's like increased blood flow, increased heart rate, your pupils dilate, and you're sweating. It's not very pleasant. And let's learn from past experiences in life. So I mean, in this day and age, you probably don't need this level of reaction to your fears. Back in the caveman days, they needed this sort of reaction to fear. There were saber-toothed tigers, there were other bands of cavemen coming to attack them. But nowadays, what we're scared of is things like asking our boss for a raise, or speaking to a room full of people, quitting our jobs, even telling people about our dreams. So it isn't something that we need to have that kind of fear reaction to. So part of this is the first step is going to be identifying our fears. So our fears can be hidden under layers. When we think we're scared of one thing, it's actually being driven by something underlying that. So it's not as straightforward as just thinking I'm scared of this and that's what I'm going to do. So with this exercise, we're going to run through. So what are you scared of? What's the real fear that you have under that? And then look at why are you scared of this. So it can be like your earliest memory of a fear, or experiences that you've had in the past which have led you to this fear. And this kind of thing leads to limiting beliefs. So that's beliefs or thoughts about yourself or your abilities or even the world around us, which can hold you back. And that stops you seeing opportunities that are available to you or taking steps towards your goals because you're scared of what's going to happen. So here's a little graphic with what are you most afraid of. I'm not saying it's scientifically checked, but it's found on the internet. So speaking before a group is a pretty high up one, and that's obviously what my big fear is. I'm scared of doing public speaking, so I will focus on that a bit for this. Other ones are heights, insects, bugs, financial problems, which I think is really important as well when looking at work-life balance and fearing like leaving your job or changing your work situation. So for mine, I'll just run through this exercise. So what are you scared of? So I'm scared of public speaking, but what that really comes from is a fear of not doing public speaking well, of maybe messing it up or saying something silly. And then that fear is actually what people think of me. So if I was doing public speaking in my work, if I did something in a meeting and it didn't turn out very well, my fear would be about being judged by my work colleagues and people maybe laughing at me. And I mean, why are we scared of that? As humans, our instinct is to try and blend in and fit in because we don't want to be outside of the group. We want to be part of like the group of people, and we want to get on with people and have people like us. So I mean, earliest memory of public speaking probably for most people would be having to answer questions in class or something like that. And I mean, we've all had times where maybe the teacher's asked us something and we've not been listening, or we've just said something completely stupid. And kids being kids, you would get laughed at in class and people might take the mickey out of you. So that would be like experiences that I've had this fear in my life. But when I look at that from this perspective, in most workplaces, if you say something wrong in a meeting, your colleagues aren't going to laugh at you. You're not going to be rejected from the work group. So it's a limiting belief that's going to hold us back from doing things, but it doesn't actually need to do that, because when you delve into these fears, you can see what you're really scared of, and that actually is something that you don't need to worry about. So facing your fears, also known as feel the fear and do it anyway. So remember your like first day at a new job or school, you'd be so nervous. You'd really feel sick and be nervous going in and walking through the gates. Even like the first time you ran a meeting at work or having to make calls for work, something that used to really make me nervous. So that is scary to begin with, but most people don't walk into work every day feeling terrified or feel nervous picking up the phone. And that's because exposure to our fears lessen them. So yesterday I began running a daily scrum call for one of my project management clients, and I was so nervous yesterday morning. It was unbelievable. My husband had to come in and calm me down and be like, "Kira, this is literally just a phone call. You're going to be fine. You've made phone calls before. It's only 10 minutes," and like talk me through these fears. But I was shaken. I was feeling like there's no way I can do this. I wanted to just run away, delete my email, and pretend I had never heard of them or met them, and just definitely not do it. Um, Obviously, I did do the call and it was fine, which is obvious because all it is a phone call with some people from work. But it's funny that the fear, because I'd never done it before yesterday, it was so intense. And then today, when I had the same situation, I was fine. I like made the phone call. I was actually looking forward to it. So that just goes to show that because I'd already done it before, I knew what to expect, and that helped me not be scared. So speaking fears aloud is also something that can really help us with facing fears. So, talking about your fears, just verbalizing it to somebody, or even speaking aloud to yourself can help you see that there's nothing to really be scared of. Talking through with a trusted friend or colleague is really helpful because they'll be able to tell us, actually, you're being a bit silly about this, or give us reasons why we don't need to be this nervous, or just help us see things from a bit more perspective rather than the fear reaction that we're coming from. So this is a great exercise. I got this from a TED talk that I will link at the end. So it's a what if exercise. So it's exercise basically is you run through, what if I did do this thing that I'm scared of? What are the worst possible outcomes? And then once you've listed those, come through and say what could be done to avoid each of the outcomes? What could be done to repair them if they do go wrong? And what are the benefits of me actually trying to do this? So not the worst possible outcomes, but what good things can come of me trying to face this fear. So if I use my fear of speaking in public, so what could go wrong? If I did do public speaking, I could have a rubbish talk. People could hate it. I could get booed off the stage. That would be awful. I could completely and utterly forget what I'm going to say. I could get up on the stage and just go completely blank and have nothing to say and be standing there as the wind blows through and people just stare at me. And another worst possible outcome would be I could just completely pass out. The stress and the panic could be way too much for me, and I could just collapse on the stage. So there's three pretty bad outcomes that could happen. So what could be done to avoid them? So to avoid having a talk that's really awful and that people hate, I could really put time into preparing my speech. I could test it with my friends and get feedback, and just make sure it's a really engaging talk. What could be done to avoid forgetting what I'm going to say? So I could take copies of notes with me, I could practice it, I could make sure that I've got paper notes and electronic notes in case there's any disasters on the day. Um, Pass out, what could be done to avoid it? Well, eating in the morning would probably be a good plan, and breathing sounds like it would be a good move as well. So if those things did happen, say if I did have a rubbish talk and people hated it, what could be done to repair them? So, I mean, I'd learn from that, and if I went off and did a rubbish talk and people hated it, I mean, you probably wouldn't find out because people are generally polite. They wouldn't really tell you to your face. But if they did, then I'd learn from it, and you could just make sure that the next time you give a talk, you learn from the mistakes that you made. So if I forgot what I was going to say on the stage, then you could start having a question and answer session, or you could just see if there's any other ways to find a prompt. And I'm sure you could probably wing it or make something new up. If you did pass out in the middle of giving a talk, I'm pretty sure that when you came round, you'd get a decent round of applause for continuing on. So that could be a decent move. So now think about it. What are the benefits of trying? So to try and do public speaking when it's not something that you're good at or you're confident at, you would learn so much. I think it would really build your confidence. It would raise your confidence to do it again in future. You'll learn about it, and just even doing the preparation might help you see that it's not something that you need to be that scared of. So when you look at it this way and if you balance the problems that you might have and the likelihood of any of them happening, which is quite low, to the benefits that you're going to get from even trying to do it, you'll see that the benefits generally really outweigh what the problems are for the worst possible outcomes. So facing your fears is really valuable, and it looks like you can face your fears and learn from them. Um, Now, visualizing is something that I think is so powerful when it comes to facing fears and for any goal setting or any goal objectives. So by this I mean doing something in your head, and I mean like in serious detail. So imagine yourself getting ready for the event that you're going to face your fears. What are you going to be doing just before? How have you prepared? What are you wearing? Where are you? And do like a blow by blow run through of you facing that fear. What are you saying or doing? And then see the success. So imagine you facing your fear and it going amazingly. What have you done? How do other people react to you? And most importantly, how do you feel afterwards? Like the whole 9 yards, run all the way through and imagine the whole situation. So by doing this, you're giving your brain the outcome that it can focus on. This is similar to what we talked about earlier about having done something before. When you know how to do it, you've done it before, your brain knows what to expect, and it becomes a lot less scary, like my call this morning. So by visualizing, what you can do is draw on that memory or visualization and calm your nervous brain. So it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that you've already successfully done it before, and that will help you be a lot less nervous when you're actually going to do it. So the final point I'm going to make is about reframing your fears. So it's about how to actually manage the butterflies you have when all you want to do is run. There's no way you want to do it. Like my call yesterday morning, I was ready to leave the country, but once I faced it, it was fine. So fear or excitement. So if you've got clammy hands, a racing heart, butterflies, and you're feeling kind of sick, you could be waiting to get on a roller coaster or about to stand in front of a room full of people and give a speech. So the same like physical responses that we have in our body are for fear or excitement. So if we're telling ourselves that actually the emotion we're feeling right now isn't fear, it's excitement. So we are really excited to give this speech or excited to have this video call. We can trick our brains again into thinking that we're looking forward to this event. And then the physical responses we're having don't make us panic because we're thinking about it from an excited point of view. So with this, you do really need to just try and believe it. Believe that you're excited to face your fears, to speak to your boss, to step out and try something new. So the other free resources that I can point you towards as well, the TED Talks that I mentioned, so Tim Ferriss, Define Your Fears Rather Than Goals, that was really helpful, and it's where the exercise of running through the worst case scenarios came from, which was really interesting to me. And then there's another couple of books I can definitely recommend. So Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers is a great book, and Shonda Rhimes' A Year of Yes is such a good book. She had some fear about public speaking, so it really resonated with me as well. So if you enjoyed this today and you want to go further, at Breakthrough from the 9 to 5, I do have a 6-week one-to-one coaching program that people might be interested in. If you do want to find out more about that, you can book a free discovery call with me. So it's half hour, just getting to know each other, find out more about the coaching program and if it's the right fit for you. I do Wednesday workshops each Wednesday evening. It's normally around 7 o'clock, and the schedule for these is on my website, and you can book onto those through my website as well. And in March we will be launching the Break Free from the 9 to 5 School. I'm very excited about it. It's our first one. And you can register interest for this at the moment. You just need to email hello@breakfreefromthe9to5.com, and I can put you on the waiting list for the more details. So also in the meantime, I've got Facebook and Instagram, so facebook.com/breakfreefromthe9to5, and my Instagram is @breakfreefromthe9to5. For the rest of February, I am doing the February Feels Challenge, so if you want to join in, just use the hashtag mentioned there. And you will be entered with a chance to win my ebook at the end of the month. So you only need to join in one day, so maybe have a look through and see what prompt resonates with you. And then please do sign up for the newsletter. You can do that on my website, which is www.breakfreefromthe9to5.com. Thanks so much.